Hello and welcome everyone, this is Calebovitsch coming to you with another episode of Deck Check. Although the Eternal Highlight series is temporarily on hold, you can still count on there being a deck check for you on every Sunday. And if you want some more of the Eternal content, you can check out, for example, the Eternal button pushing ceremony. That is a video of an event that took place on May the 1st, 2020. That can also be found on my YouTube channel. Although Shadows of the Spire is coming to us in a matter of days, we still don't have and we still don't know all the cards. So although I have a couple of brews brewing somewhere in the back of my head with those cards, there are still obviously some cards from Whispers of the Throne that you might not played with yet. And this is going to be a video about a throne deck using one of those cards, Counsel of Heroes. So do not go anywhere because I'll be back. I'll be back is also obviously the name of the deck that I am showcasing today. This is a mid-range full of value deck in the Argenport colors, Shadow and Justice, half and half. That utilizes a new card from Whispers of the Throne called Counsel of Heroes. This is a 4-cost double justice relic that has two abilities. One is a symmetric one, works for both you and the opponent, because when any player plays a unit, double its stats, both attack and health. But when you play a unit, you get to move each unit in your deck one card closer to the top, allowing you to just get more units more often. So how does one go about making this card work better for you than for your opponent? Well, this deck is based on something I saw before me making such a deck, but this is my take on it, and that is revenge. And it does taste best when served cold, but it also tastes quite good in the Argenport colors. And in this deck, we do have a lot of revenging units. So the thing is, when you play a unit, it doubles its stats. When it dies, the ability of Revenge says you get to give that unit Destiny, put it into the top 10 cards of your deck. And when it's drawn, it has Destiny, which means you get to play it for free, and you get to redraw a card. So in the Inquisitor Macto example, I mean, this is already a huge unit with great ability of Revenge Never Ends and flying. So if you play Inquisitor Macto while you have Counsel of Heroes in play, you get to play him as a 10-10. Then, if for some reason he goes sleeping with the fishes, then he will return in a matter of up to 10 turns, and then he gets buffed to a 20-20, etc., etc. Also, for each unit you play, each unit from your deck gets one card closer to the top, including all those revenge units. Which means for each unit that is getting revenged, all the non-unit cards, i.e. spells, sides, attachments, and power, go slightly lower. So if you are revenging multiple cards, it is much more probable for you to revenge them all back in a row. And in the case of Inquisitor Macto, his revenge never ends. Speaking of revenge units, we have Stone Powder Alchemist, the 3-cost Argenport 2-1 Gunslinger Mage with Lifesteal and Revenge, and the ability of when this comes into play, it deals 2 damage to the enemy player. This also has Lifesteal, which means you're gaining 2 health. When Counsel of Heroes is in play, this comes into play as a 4-2 Lifestealer, and then it gets revenged back as an 8-4 Lifestealer. So that's a ton of value. Also shoots the opponent twice in the head and you regain a lot of health. And this is a great anti-aggro weapon for sure. In the Revenge series, we also have Crownwatch Press Gang, my favorite card from Omens of the Past. The 4-cost Justice 3/3 Minotaur Soldier with Revenge, but also the summon ability of draw 1-cost unit of your choice from your deck. Now, while playing with Crownwatch Press Gang, I usually tend to have a toolbox of sorts when it comes to 1-cost units, but in this case I just opted to go for 4 Street Urchins, because this is going to be one of your main sources of card advantage, even if those cards are stolen from your opponent. So this is a 1-cost 1/2 Shadow Rogue that says when the enemy player plays a spell, this deals 1 damage to them, but also you can pay 3 and twist, Street Urchin, which means give it permanently +1 attack, -1 health, to draw the top card of the enemy deck. So if you have 7 power, you can play it, you can twist it twice, you get to draw 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck. You should also take note whether the opponent is scouting some cards to the top of their deck or to the bottom of their deck, and do they know that you have a Street Urchin, that you are able to play and use a Street Urchin, because if they do know about this, they might just put a power on the top of your deck, so you get screwed. So this is a game of cat and mouse, or a power/bomb, and you just have to read your opponent's mind to see what they are gonna do. Next up, we have 4 Warcry units, 4 copies of Crownwatch Paladin, the 2-cost Justice 2/2 Paladin with Aegis and Warcry, and 4 copies of Ripknife Assassin, his shadowy counterpart, the 2-cost Shadow 2/2 Unseen with Warcry and Deadly instead of Aegis. So why Warcry in this deck? Well, if you get to Warcry one of your units that are somewhere on the top of your deck, and you have Counsel of Heroes in play, then each of those Warcries gets doubled as well, which means a single Warcry counts as 2 Warcries, in fact. So if a Crownwatch Paladin upgrades a Ripknife Assassin into a 3/3, then with Counsel of Heroes in play, you get to play that as a 6/6, which is very cool. Now, last but not least, there are 2 copies of Korosh's Stranger. I believe this version used to be running 4 back in the day, but after the nerf of Korosh's Stranger from a 2/2 to a 2/1, this card is slightly worse, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. This is a 3-cost double Justice 2/1 Stranger that says when a player plays a Stranger, including this one, the top unit or weapon of their deck, in the case of this deck it's unit, gets bonus to their stats equal to that Stranger's stats. And when Korosh's Stranger attacks, double his attack and health. So this is a double Warcry unsummon, giving +2/+1 to a unit on top of your deck. And if this goes unanswered, it turns into a 4/2, then later into an 8/4. And honestly, the change in this case from a 2/2 to a 2/1 is a huge difference, because when it was a 2/2 and you attacked with it once, it was out of torch range for all eternity. Anyway, so here you can see a lot of units with Revenge, which are coming back, a lot of units with Warcry, or a Warcry-esque ability to make your units bigger, and all of this goes into play with Counsel of Heroes. Okay, so what else do we have brewing in this deck? Well, we have 4 copies of Regent's Tomb for you to interact with your opponent, and this is the 4-cost Argentport Sight that says Empower. Your units get +1 attack this turn, and I believe this is the most common overlooked ability on a site. I mean, I myself have forgotten about this time and time again, and obviously I will forget about it several more times. I'm sure of it, seriously. So this is coming back to Card Game 101, read the friggin' cards. Anyway, what this side does is it plays its 3 agenda spells: Lingering Influence, allowing to draw Justice Sigil from your deck and to scout; Sabotage, making the enemy player discard a spell or attachment of your choice from their hand; and Swear Vengeance, giving one of your units revenge. Well, that's another part of the theme of this deck. Remember, if a unit has already been killed and brought back with Destiny, the revenge is grayed out, but you can give it a revenge once again. Sure, why not? And after several turns, you get to play Elias the Broken Wing with Flying, Life Seal, and Revenge. Yep, that's the theme of the deck. So yeah, 4 copies main deck instead of 1 in the market, because I'm running a Condemned market instead of a smuggler market or a merchant market. But well, your experience may vary. So yes, I am running 4 copies of Condemn, the 1-cost Shadow fast spell that deals 1 damage to an enemy and has lifesteal. If that enemy dies this turn, it gets void bound. Important to note, if you target a site, it also might get void bound. Not that it usually matters, but still, that's an option for you. Also, you may swap a card from your hand with a 1-cost card in your market, and I'm going to get to the market in a moment. Because now come the great, crazy, and cool tools. And that is 4 copies of Dark Return, 1-cost Shadow spell, draw a unit from your void, it gets +1/+1. Here where things get tricky. If you had already played a unit with Revenge. It got killed. It went back into your deck with Destiny. It got back again, and it died once again while it had Destiny, and it is in your void with Destiny. So Destiny, I don't know if there is a tooltip here for Destiny. No, there's not. Destiny says when you draw this card, you play it for free and you draw a card. And Dark Return says exactly, draw a unit from your void. So if you're drawing a unit from your void that has Destiny, you don't have to pay its cost. You get to play it for free, and it gets +1/+1, and you're drawing a card on top of that whole deal. And that +1/+1 also gets doubled if Counsel of Heroes is in play. So another cool synergy. 4 copies of Cult Deck. This is not card advantage per se, this is card filtering. This is the 2-cost shadow spell that draws one of the top 3 cards from your deck, and you get to put the rest on the bottom. And this is here because you're looking for those revenge units. So call the deck, get a revenge unit, play it for free, and draw the next card from your deck. Plain and simple. And last piece de résistance, as some people would probably say. Not 1, not 2, but 4 copies of Pristine Light, the 3-cost double justice spell that says kill each unit with 4 attack or more, and Onslaught, which means it gets a special effect when played if you or any of your units have attacked this turn. Draw each unit from your void that died this turn. Now, this is countering the drawback of Counsel of Heroes, the symmetrical drawback of Counsel of Heroes. Because, well, your opponent keeps playing stuff, and it is big stuff for sure, and you get to kill it for free. Oh, well, maybe not for free, but by using Pristine Light. But also, let's suppose you attack with all your units. Some of them trade, some of them not. You play Pristine Light, you decimate the whole board. You're getting your units back from your void, those that died. And then when you're replaying them, while Counsel of Heroes is in play, you get to double their stats once again. Cool or what? Yes, cool, for sure. As far as the power base goes, we have 4 copies of each dual power, seats, crest, insignias, and banners, and some sigils to go with that, with 5 justice sigils and 4 shadow sigils because Regent's Tomb is drawing us some justice sigils. So we wanted to have slightly more of them. Now, as far as the market goes, we have some choices in the 1-cost department. So we have 1 copy of Adjudicator's Gavel, the Cursed Relic in Justice, that says cards can't leave the cursed player's void, obviously against, well, these days, a lot of strategies and synergies. I mean, in the mirror match, this would be the first card you would be getting, for sure. Contaminating Ritual is a cool and funky piece of tech. You might not want to play with this, but, well, this is my weapon of choice. This is a 1-cost shadow fast spell that says give one of your units +1 attack, flying, and lifesteal. At the end of the turn, sacrifice it. What you might not notice on the first read of this card is that the unit gets +1 attack, flying, and lifesteal permanently. It just gets sacrificed at the end of turn. So that permanent stat and battle skill inclusion here is similar to what you have, for example, on Haunting Scream. So if you, for example, want to trade your Crownwatch Press Gang with another with a unit from your opponent, and then you play Contaminating Ritual on it, you have a 4/3 flyer with lifesteal, and then it gets revenged back, and it comes back as a 4/3 flyer with lifesteal. What more do you need against aggressive decks, against burn decks? I mean, this deck has those Stone Powder Alchemists and has that Contaminating Ritual for you to start regaining your health. Plain and simple. Next up, Edict of Makar, the 1-cost shadow slow spell. An enemy unit of your choice can block this turn. If it's time or justice, you get to kill it. Plain and simple, against, well, a lot of aggressive decks, but also slower decks that run big stuff like, I don't know, Grot of Strangers still. 1 copy of Seek Power in the market instead of Power, because we can't keep Power in a 1-cost market, but you can draw a sigil of your choice from your deck. And 1 copy of Swear Vengeance if you need to give one of your units revenge on fast speed. I mean, you don't have a Dark Return in the market, because those are, well, quite good in this one. So you're packing 4 main deck, but you can be running one Swear Vengeance in the market. You know that spell that gets played off of Regent's Tomb as well. Now, this deck has a lot of interactions. Some of them have to do with the Destiny ability. So when you're returning cards with Dark Return, and those units have Destiny, you get to play them for free right there, right then. But there's also a cool interaction of Inquisitor Macto and Pristine Light, because Inquisitor Macto has Flying Revenge, and his revenge never ends. But if he dies for the first time and comes back for the first time, he has Flying Revenge Destiny. So if Inquisitor Macto has Flying Revenge and Destiny, and you have attacked with some units, and you play Pristine Light, here's what happens. You get to kill each unit with 4 attack or more, including Inquisitor Macto. Inquisitor Macto goes to your void for a moment, but then you get to draw him before he gets revenged. So he dies, he goes to your void, before the revenge kicks in, you get to draw him, which means you get to play him for free, and you get to draw a card. Unfortunately, I don't believe this interaction was shown in one of the videos, one of the game videos that I pre-recorded, but that is something that I believe you should know, because that's cool. That's just so friggin' cool. Anyway, you could probably try to mix and match some cards in this deck with some others. This is just the build that I was running with recently. You could, for example, switch Condemns for Hidden Road Smugglers and adjust your market accordingly. But this version has been working for me more often than not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Once again, this is not a tier 1 deck. This is like tier 2.5. But when you get it running, you're gonna have a ton of fun. And if you want to see what fun is, what kind of fun it is, let me show you 3 games. Also fitting, I am using the Argenport Battleground or Arena or Field Skin or whatever you call it to play with the Argenport deck. Anyway, in the first game we have 3 power, Crownwatch Paladin, not 1 but 2 Stone Power Alchemist, and a way to search for Counsel of Heroes. So this opponent is starting off on Shadow. And boy oh boy, is this going to be an epic game. Spoiler alert! Opponent is also playing the Argenport colors, but we have the first unit in play in Crownwatch Paladin, trying to get some war cries going. Opponent's going for Hidden Road Smuggler, that's cool. And I'm guessing they are usually going here for Regent's Tomb. We could go for that Calda deck, but instead I'm just going to go for Stone Power Alchemist. I mean, I'm usually guessing that the first card the opponent goes for is Regent's Tomb. It's probably not that. I mean, in this case, the opponent is missing their next drop, next power drop. And with this situation, I believe I want to take a look at what's on top of my deck. 2 Regent's Tomb and Crest of Vengeance. Yes, let's get one of the tombs. Attack with both and play the 2/2 Deadly. Opponent with Touch of Resilience, giving their unit revenge. Okay, so I'll be back, but they'll be back. So who's gonna be back first? Who's gonna be back later? I don't know. Things are happening for sure. And that Smuggler is going to be back. Lost Scroll, opponent is ramping up. Well, it's not ramping up if they're not just playing a power then and there. And let me see what they have in hand. Let me see. Oh my goodness. Eremot's Designs, Annihilate, Devour, Desecrate, and Harshul. I believe Harshul hits me the most. Eremot's Designs, not so much. Annihilate, Desecrate, well, sure, it's just gonna be problematic for the opponent. This time I remembered about the Empower ability of the site, so I was able to attack the opponent for 2 more and gained 1 more health. Eremot's Designs is gonna kill that one, and it got revenge from that touch, so it's gonna be back on top of the deck. And here we have a 6/6 Crownwatch Press Gang, that's cool. we are getting a Justice Sigil, and Street Urchin can go to the bottom because we are going to get one anyway with Crownwatch Press Gang. Okay, this is getting back on top of the deck. Opponent is losing health, so playing that Crownwatch Press Gang, grabbing one of the Street Urchins, but I don't want to play him yet because there is the Revenged Ermod's Designs on top of the opponent's deck. And also I want to play it and start using it. Opponent is gonna grab something from their market once again. Okay, fortunately there is the Stone Power Alchemist and we can give him Revenge right now before redrawing a card. Okay, that's cool. Now, I believe I wanted to go for the attack and then play Street Urchin and grab 2 cards from the opponent to go for some card advantage. Opponent blocked, played Devour. That we have already seen. They also have an Annihilate in hand unless they took it out. Icaria First Reaper, that's a nice catch. But the other one is also nice because it is another Icaria First Reaper. This time without the influence requirement of 6 Shadow. I mean, we do have 6 Shadow here and right now. But yes. Also, the opponent is showing us what our deck is all about, and that is drawing a card with a unit with Destiny from their void. So this might not be a mirror match where we are playing 80 out of 80 same cards, but well, the thought behind both decks is similar. Now they are playing their own Alchemist, trying to regain some health as well. But yeah, we're getting Elias, so we can go for Icaria, kill the one without Revenge, so it doesn't get back yet. Another touch of resilience. Oh boy. And we still get to attack. Alrighty. Destiny on both sides of the table. Don't you get opponent? End of the story with Revenge. So we gotta be careful. And Icaria First Reaper. I mean, you can see Revenge, Revenge, Revenge. And the opponent is discarding Annihilate and Shakedown. And we are getting Crownwatch Press Gang into Street Urchin and a Condemn. And I think Adjudicator's Gavel is something I want to go for sure. Now I went for the Street Urchin, but if I would draw that Revenge Wrath, that would be rather bad. So I ended it right there and then. Also went for Adjudicator's Gavel. And decided to just put lethal damage on the board. Now there's an Ermod's Design from the opponent, killing one of our units, but also dealing 1 damage to them. I mean, not them, the unit, but them, the opposing player. And I'm sitting at a healthy 38. This is not getting Destiny, but it is getting warped, so our board gets decimated once again. But still, don't worry, Stone Power Alchemist gets back. Oh my goodness, things are surely happening. Dizzo's Office, giving the Alchemist attack. But it doesn't matter right now because the opponent conceded. Alrighty, so that was fun. Let's see what the second game holds. The second game holds a Morlock. Okay, 4 power, one of them with Scout. A 2-drop, some Search Mechanisms, and a Condemn. Sure, why not? That is a rather good combination. Oh my goodness, those skeletal wings on Zombie Icaria on that avatar are so freaking scary. If I were What's his name? What's the name of my dragon? Oh my goodness. If I was the dragon in my avatar, I would be scared. I'm sorry. Anyway, opponent with their second power looks like Stone Scar, looks like a rather aggressive deck, which makes me want to go for Condemned on the block. Also, Alchemist or Macto, I think Macto might be slightly better. So the plan is to go block and condemn their unit. Condemn you! But here is where the opponent throws a wrench in my plans by playing Milos, Rebel Bomber. And remember, that one gets bigger each time I gain health, and Condemned gains health. So that's a problem, and I will have to get through that problem. So I'm blocking here. I'm not playing Condemned in the middle of the combat, because then Milos would just grow to a 4/4 and I would unnecessarily get dealt one more damage. He can grow now, unfortunately, and I want to get rid of Regent's Tomb and get probably Contaminating Ritual or Swear Vengeance. But Contaminating Ritual seems like something that I can play later in the game to try and, well, stay alive. But it so happens that I drew Counsel of Heroes, and I'm hoping that my huge press gang, and not really a small urchin because it gets played as a 2/4, can help me, or just a 6/6 Crownwatch press gang with the ritual. So although the opponent is playing a 6/6 Argentport Instigator, well, and they have 10 power worth of units on the board, I still want to go for a 6/6 unit here. And if the opponent attacks with both, I'm blocking Milos. If they are attacking just with the Instigator, I block anyway, because then I have my two costing Unseen. And they want to torch it, and they want to torch it again. So this is another upside of Counsel of Heroes. Damage dealing is not as effective, fortunately. Anyway, second firebomb into our deck, and also very fortunately that unit went on top of my deck, which means I can play Street Urchin and Ripknife Assassin. So I have a 4/4 and a 2/4 and a 12/12, and I can turn that 12/12 into a 13/12 Lifestealer that is going to die, but it is going to gain us a ton of health. But to do that, I also need Milos to die, because I don't want Milos to be a 17/17 Overwhelmer. That's just too much usually, even for my taste, especially for my taste. Opponent is thinking right now they are defiling the 4/4 and taking 1 damage. But sure, we do have a lot of life to gain sooner rather than later. And what's going to happen now? Bandit Queen, never seen, and it also grows, and first it gets the +1 attack buff, and then it gets doubled with Counsel of Heroes. So in this situation I am taking 15, but I can gain 13 up to 20, which means I would go down to 7, down to 6, because my unit will die, but I will have a huge unit here in my void. And I was thinking whether to chump block one of their other units or not, but I opted not to, I think. I mean, this is a close call, but in the end, opting to go for that. 13/12. I do go into the negatives right now, but not for long. Oh, sorry, I miscounted. That was 15, not 13. So I'm going to go down to 4 health. Fortunately, I am top decking like crazy and playing Dark Return, grabbing a 8/26 flyer with lifesteal that is grabbing me a Street Urchin and a Stone Power Alchemist, and I'm going to play Stone Power Alchemist just to deal some more damage to the opponent and regain some health, so I don't die to a 4 damage dealing Fire Blast. And I believe I should be safe unless they have an Annihilate, but even if they have an Annihilate, I'm just gonna either double block the 6/6 and just gain 2 health, and then have 2 more Street Urchins to start blocking that unit. But with Milo's Rebel Bomber even coming in as a 6/6, I still have 28 flying lifesteal damage here. So I believe this is what people call GG. Alright, this has been fun. Let's get on to game number 3. And last but not least, I'm playing against Moriok. And for a moment there I thought, hey, that sounds familiar, but no, the previous opponent was Morlock. This is Moriok, and spelled differently, so probably another player. And this is a very similar hand to what I already had in the previous games. Turned to Crownwatch Paladin and a Calder deck and some tools. So let's see what the opponent has got going for them. Fall and Seek Power. Okay, that is already looking nasty. Putting something on the top. I think I'm gonna go for Aegis before Deadly. Primal Sigil and Strange Broker. Okay, so that is Mill. And Mill is going to be a very peculiar matchup because I want to Warcry my units and I want to put units with Revenge on top of my deck. On the other hand, the opponent is fighting that with just trying to mill my units. Anyway, I am attacking with this because I have the option of playing Condemn on the opposing unit, getting a Contaminating Ritual and making my unit into a 3/2 Aegis, Warcry, Flying Lifestealer, killing that Strange Broker. But it turns out I'm not going to. Anyway, this is me. And Dark Talon Wyvark is the perfect anti-Warcry weapon, if I have to be honest. Anyway, going for the double attack because I still have that Condemn going. Alrighty. Now I can Dark Return that Cautious Stranger, turn it into a 5/3 and play it. So we already gave +2/+1, and now we're giving +5/+3 to the top unit of our deck. But if the opponent attacks with the Wyvark, we are getting that one milled. And that one is getting milled for us, so it is an 11/8 Deadly Warcry Rip Knife Assassin. Rip to the Knife Assassin. And unfortunately the Stranger is getting defiled, but the opponent is down to two cards and a power in hand. Right now I was looking for what I have in the market and just opted to attack. And I believe I also opted to cull the deck to grab that Warcry card. And we do have a Dark Return here. And the Dark Return is rather nice because we are getting a huge thing. I don't know why I went for a small one. I was probably thinking that the opponent could be holding up an Annihilate or something like that. Well, they do have a Suffocate for this one. Sure. And they are attacking so that the Warcry is not working. And that is Inquisitor Magto. Now that is also a good one to get Dark Returned. So let me attack here once again. Play Dark Return on Inquisitor Magto and play it as a 7/7 flyer with permanent revenge. Unless it's getting milled, obviously. And I'm playing this instead of the other one because opponent seems to be holding up some kind of removal. I mean, it could be Annihilate, and also this is immune to Annihilate. Because that's what I think they could have on fast speed. Alright, let's double attack once again. And for example, get rid of that death cap. Now, sure, I opted to fight. And then I can do one and the other. And I was thinking whether to grab something here or not, but I opted not to. Instead, going for this and the second Crownwatch Paladin. Opponent still has something fast, and indeed they do have an Annihilate that they're playing to get rid of one of the Aegises on the Paladin. They are following it up with an attack from Dark Talon Wyvark. to mill some more cards from my deck. And playing something I was not expecting at that point, and that is Essence Feast. And honestly, I should be expecting Essence Feast. I mean, come on. I have been playing some Feln recently, right? Alright, Street Urchin. Grab a card from the opponent's deck. That's a Seek Power, so that's really underwhelming. We can still go for that. Not gonna go for Justice Sigil. I mean, we have all our influence, so let's leave all the Justice Sigils because this deck is running those Regent's Tombs. So there is that. They're rereading the Essence Feast and playing it. They are taking 2 damage but gaining 3. MacLeod is getting back on top of the deck. And hopefully getting back... Nope, that's the other MacLeod. No, don't get those two confused. They look similar, but one is a 6/6, the other is a 7/7. Anyway, let's attack them down to 6. Play Korosh's Stranger once again. I mean, if they have another Essence Feast, we will just have another MacLeod sooner or later. 2 with Revenge on top of our deck. But it turns out that the opponent did not have anything to answer those threats, and that was the game. Alright, I hope you did enjoy the games, guys, so let's get back on top to the studio and talk about the deck some more. I started this video with saying that I'll be back, and I should be saying that in MacLeod's voice. I'll be back! Or something crazy in that vein. Anyway, so yes, if you want to make some modifications to this deck, I mean, this is not that expensive of a deck. You can take out Korosh's Strangers if you don't have them. Inquisitor MacLeods are rather good here. If you don't have Regent's Tomb, you can switch Condemns to the Smugglers and play 1 Regent's Tomb in the market. Yeah, this deck is packing for Pristine Lights, for Regent's Tomb, for Inquisitor MacLeods, and a couple of Korosh's Strangers. So there is that. I mean, you can honestly go for a lot of other revenge cards, a lot of other revenge units. You can pack an Elias, Watchwind Conscript. You could be going for crazy Piercing Greaves. You could go for some Minotaur synergies, etc., etc. For Vigilante. You could go for Sleepless Nights. I mean, the list goes on and on and on again. But I believe this is a cool basis of the deck. Once again, not something you're probably gonna win a tournament with, but something you will have a lot of fun with. And that's what I want to be going for here. Alright, this is going to be it for this deck check video. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed yourselves here. And remember, if you did, click on subscribe. Nothing else to be said. See you next week. Calebovitsch out.